Hello, welcome back to Suburban Hunt 365. I'm DJ, and while I'm in the reloading room right now, this video is not actually being shot here in the reloading room. The object of today's video is to try to find a projectile and a propellant mixture that works well for my muzzleloader. And there are so many different type of projectiles and so many different propellants that we had to start somewhere. So we have obviously dubbed this one the 777 100 grain challenge, and that's because throughout this entire video shooting I will be using the 777 50/50 pellets. Alright, this is not loose powder, these are pellets. Alright, this is a new box because I went through quite a few at the range. But the idea is I have 6 different projectiles here. Now granted, 4 of them are PowerBelts, which CVA actually says the PowerBelts with the white hots is the best combination for this particular muzzleloader. But I've used 777 pellets in the past. That's what I've always used. That's what I used to sight in my rifle in the first video. So we're sticking with those. And what I've done is I've just gone to Walmart and Academy and picked up as many different types as I can, with one exception. These are actually in order from lowest grain weight all the way up to the highest grain weight. And if you can recall in the sighting video, the PowerBelt copper 245s, I'll get in here so you can see that. Well, sort of, that is a 245. Okay, the 245 is what I used to sight in the muzzleloader before, and it was holding a pretty good pattern. And for those of you that didn't see it, here's that pattern. That's pretty nice. Pretty nice with a clean bore. All right, that is awesome. That is fantastic. And as you can see, that's pretty close. That's pretty good pattern there with the 245 and the 100 grains of 777. Now that has always been my go-to mixture as far as muzzleloader goes with the CVA Wolf. It's what I used for a long time, up until I upgraded to this Ultima and decided that I actually wanted to get a little bit better group than what I was getting with 245. So moving on, the other one that I got was the 250 PowerBelt, but it is the Aerolites, and this is a 250 grain. I wanted to kind of see how that worked through the muzzleloader. And then we move over to the Federal B.O.R. Now these are 270 grains, but it's not a PowerBelt. And I actually had really high hopes for these, honestly, because of the packaging. Federal did an awesome job of packaging these, so I really had high hopes for these things. Then moving forward in weight, these are 290 grain Hornady board driver, the FTX. We'll see how the Hornady does, but these are 290 grain Hornadys. Moving up to the 295 copper, and I wanted to be fair because this is technically the same projectile as the 245s that I used to sight in the muzzleloader with, but I wanted to get a different one at a higher weight and kind of see how that progressed. So we have the copper, we have the ultralight, and then lastly we have the PowerBelt ELRs. Okay, and these are 330 grain ELRs. Okay, so I wanted to see the different types of PowerBelt, what type and how they would work through my muzzleloader. So we have the ELRs, we have the copper, we have the Aerolites, and again the 245 copper, and then we got the Federal and the Hornady board drivers. The only ones that I couldn't find that I was hoping I could find were the Carnivore Smackdowns. Right now muzzleloading equipment is really hard to find. It took me a while to find the 777 pellets that I found, along with the loose powder and the Blackhorn 209 loose powder and the primers. If it wasn't for the fact that I reload, I would not be able to find primers right now. For you guys that are unable to find primers and unable to muzzleload, if you're in the Tennessee area, throw me a comment in there and I'll see if we can't hook you guys up. I mean, it's not going to be a lot because I can't supply the whole state, but I can give you, 5 to 10 primers to get you through the muzzleloader season. Be glad to do that. All I ask is that you hit that subscribe button. But Anyway, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move forward. So the very first one that you're going to see here, or the first one you saw, was the 245 grain coppers that I used to sight that in. So that was kind of our standard group. So from there, we're going to move over to the 250 grain aerolites, and this is what happened with those. Alright, and as you saw with that group, the first one kind of hit low, the second one high, the third one hit as low as the first one did. So I was really kind of hoping that I floated that second one. So I went ahead and took a 4 shot, and unfortunately it went right back up to where the other one was. Now, that being said, I want to take this time to let you guys know that whenever I change projectiles, again, we're running 777 100 grains throughout all this, but as I change projectiles, I am doing a complete bore cleaning in between those, okay? So it gives a chance for the barrel to actually cool off a little bit, but it also makes sure that our first shot is a clean barrel. So I did that obviously between the 245s and the ones we just shot, the Aerolite 250s, because it was a couple days between being at the lease and shooting and then obviously here at the range. So that was clean, and then we took this 4-shot group and I stopped and cleaned the bore again to make sure everything was cleaned out and make it was fair across the board. And I promise you we will be doing that throughout this entire test. So rather than continuing on weight as I have them laid out here, actually at the range I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to shoot all the power belts because, like I said, CVA had basically said that the power belts with the white hots was pretty much their combination of choice. So I wanted to stick with the power belts. So the next one you're going to see here is actually going to be the 295 copper, and this is the group we got with that one. Okay guys, I kind of screwed that one up a little bit, I'm not gonna lie to you. I shot the first shot completely, I forgot to turn the camera on. So that hole that's in between the two targets there, that was actually the first shot with the 290, and that was actually an error on my part because of the fact that I used the crosshairs on the top target at 100 yards, but again we were sighted in for the 245 grain, this is a 290 grain, and I didn't make any adjustments on the scope. Obviously I didn't change my turrets, but I didn't make any height adjustments on my tick marks across the scope to basically account for that. So so that one was a little bit low, but I was shooting at that same target. So I continued on that group shooting at that top target, top bullseye, to make sure that it was consistent across the board. The second shot saw it even lower, and then that third shot was way up there on the high side of it. Now granted, this is a heavier projectile with a standard load of 100 grains in the 777, so I don't really know what that would do with the 150 grain yet. We are going to try that. That's actually going to be the next test that we do, is going to be doing the same thing we're doing here today, but we're going to do it with the 150 grains. So well, we'll see that in a little bit. Alright, so the next group that we're going to do, and the last one for the power belt, is going to be the 330 grain ELRs. Check it out. Alright, so with this one you can see that there's already a couple holes in that target. Again, that was from the previous 295 copper power belts that we used. With this one I actually did aim for the second target down there at the bottom, but I did use a higher elevation mark in my scope to put those rounds down range, but again holding the same mark every single time. Now with these ELRs, you can see the first one kind of hits, as far as bullseye goes, it's a little bit high and hair left, and then it gets a little bit lower closer to the bullseye but still to the right a little bit, and then that last one was the furthest right. That group is not terrible. If these were the projectiles that I had, it's the only thing I could find, and the 777 is what I could use, at 100 yards, that is not a ridiculously terrible group. It's not great. It's not what I would prefer, but that is a deer killer group. So if with this particular muzzleloader, So again, if that's all I had at the range, if I had it just in my bag, I would move that over to the left a little bit to kind of zero that in. But you know, with the muzzleloader at 100 yards in, you're looking at a pie plate. That would not be a bad group for that. But moving forward, so going from there, we've done all the PowerBelts, and at this point, PowerBelt has not really impressed me. I'm not gonna lie. I got a better group with the 245s that I cited in this first video, and the ELRs kind of help bring that in a little bit. But with these groups, especially with the 295, no way I'm using those. And the arrow lights, that was, I mean, that group was, those two shots groups were close to 6 inches apart. I don't like that kind of inconsistency. So with the exception of the 245 grain and the 330 ELRs, I'm not interested in shooting the other PowerBelts. But we're moving away from the PowerBelts, and now we're going on to the Federal bore locks. These came in at 270 grains. Let's see what they did. Alright, so with the Federals, the first shot was pretty close to the bull. I wasn't, you know, we're not really worried about bullseye at this point. We're worried about the size of the group itself. So with that one, I was kind of excited to see how close that was. And then that second shot was thrown off a little bit to the left. So it kind of was disheartening. But then that third shot, man, it hit right next to the first shot. And I was like, okay, we've got to give this the benefit of the doubt. The shooter could definitely have been a problem with that. So I went ahead and put a 4th round down range. And there again, as far as the muzzleloader group goes, that excluding the second shot, that in my opinion is going to be, I'm going to call that a flyer. Those 3 that are on the right hand side there are really close. Not too bad apart. Is it great? Again, no. It's at 100 yards. But if you take that flyer out of there, you know, we're looking at honestly probably close to about a 2-inch, 3-inch group on that one. So again, it's not great. It's not modern day rifle precision, but for a muzzleloader with 777 pellets, 100 grains, that's a decent group that I would also go ahead and I would be willing to use that in the woods, is what I'm saying, to take a deer within 100 yards. So anyway, last but certainly not least is the Hornady bore driver. And man, am I glad I saved this for last. Just happened to be circumstances that was that way. But check this out. Look at that. Hornady does not disappoint. Hornady comes through. Now, just a little sidebar because I can. You can see all those red boxes. That's Hornady reloading equipment. All the projectiles that I have behind this flag, they're Hornady's. I mean, look here. Hornady. They just make great products, guys. So, excuse me. I'm not endorsed by these guys, but I love these guys. They are great, great, great at what they do. And obviously, the proof is in the pudding yet again. So with a standard load of 777 50 grain pellets, 2 pellets, standard load of 100, with the 290 Hornady bore driver, absolutely walks away with this contest for me. Now, as you know, every rifle is different. Every muzzleloader is different. But on my way home from the range, shooting these shots, of course, I love to scour YouTube and see what else is out there. I ran across I Love Muzzleloading, the channel. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. He does a fantastic job breaking pretty much the same thing down with his. He's using an Acura, all right, and he's also using the 777 loose powder. Now, I'm going to be honest with you right now. Most of his groups out at 100 yards were a lot tighter than my groups. I would like to say that it's mostly the powder versus the pellets, but let's be honest, he's probably a better shot than I am, and that's okay, because not everybody's going to shoot a competition match style and level. But what you will notice if you do check out his video is that in his Acura, the Hornady also outperforms even the Thor and the Carnivore Smackdowns. So Hornady on his test in a completely different rifle using a similar propellant, 777 at 100 grains. Again, his was loose powder, but there again, Hornady outperformed everybody else. So while my gun may not shoot the same as yours, there is now proof that two different shooters using Hornady 290 grain bore drivers, they're just better. They're just better. So with our 777 100 grain pellet challenge, the winner by a landslide, Hornady bore drivers. So if I had to choose right now, with just this test, muzzleloader season starts tomorrow, what am I going to do? I'm going to move that about 8 clicks to the left, and I'm going to go find a tree. Because, wow. I appreciate you guys joining me today. I hope you guys learned something. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, next step is to take the 777 and we're going to go with the Magnum load, which is the 150 grain, so 3 pellets per. We're going to go through the same setup here that we have, and we're going to see how 150 grain pellet, 150 grains of 777 pellets, how that affects the accuracy of each one of these projectiles. Mainly because you guys have seen Dave on the channel before. Dave loves using 150 grains. He's just like, it's got more powder, it's faster. Well, faster is not necessarily better, but it could be. So stay tuned for that video, guys. Do me a favor so you don't miss that video. Hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so as soon as I upload that video, bing, there you go. You can check out the 150 grain. Now, that being said, we are also going to continue down this rabbit hole. And the third pellet that I'm going to use, and this is on purpose, is the CVA prompted white hots. Okay, it took me forever to find these right now, guys, just so y'all know. These I found at Bass Pro and paid way too much for these things. I hope they're worth it, but with the 777 100 grains, it's got some serious stuff to live up to. So we are going to try the white hots with the PowerBelts across this table, the Federal and the board driver, to see if the CVA actually, I don't know, maybe knows what they're talking about. It is their platform, so we'll see. But anyway, guys, appreciate you guys hanging out with me, especially if you made it this far. Have fun in the woods this season, guys. Lord knows we're going to. I appreciate you guys. Again, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We'll see you on the next one.